Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Amin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد ربنا اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. The title was, the subtitle of course, was Jurisprudential Matters Are Coming into the life of human being. We established previously that human life consists of spirit, all human qualities, plus body. We said, yes, we are spiritual beings, that's sure, but we should never forget that the spirit operates through material bodily organs and then develops, collects information through eye, through ear, through tongue. They are body, they are flesh or blood or cellular relationship in the body. But feel comfortable. Are you comfortable? But like this, come this way or come here. So I feel that you are not comfortable. When I feel that you are not comfortable, I am not comfortable. So I feel the sister is not okay. Collects the data, and spirit processes the data. But we cannot, we gave the example, very simple example, if you don't eat and experience the taste through your tongue, you cannot talk about taste, and you don't know what message the spirit will get through taste, through the creation of taste. You have no idea. So we have to acknowledge that we have body, and the spirit is loaded on the body, operates through the body. For example, in the computer, program is very essential, but if there was no hardware, program means nothing, doesn't operate. So if there was no body, if there was no physical environment, the spirit cannot operate. What is the significance of it as far as our subject is concerned? Jurisprudential matters organizes the, if you like, hardware of our human computer. But which one is more important? Software is important. Software is more precious. But without the hardware, software doesn't function, doesn't process, doesn't get the data. So this side is not appreciated. But some people emphasize on the importance of spiritual life, spiritual side of human beings. Some people emphasizes on bodily life. So bodily organizations, it means juridical rulings. Physically, you have to do this. Physically, you have to pay money, give money, for example, physically. Physically, you have to fast. Now, physically, you should stop eating physically from this time to this time, right this time. You cannot do, no, okay, I'm not eating, so I can break my fast. Well, I may not break fast. It doesn't matter. I'm experiencing spiritual something, and doesn't follow the material organization of your bodily life. This is not your reality. That's what the heart of the matter is this. We have to understand this. Yes, without spirit, body means nothing. But without body, spirit cannot operate within this creation. We have to understand that we have to combine. And while we say, as soon as we say that we need to combine these two sides of human life, human reality, then two things come into the discussion. How am I going to organize my bodily life? How am I going to organize my spiritual life, my understanding, my feelings? How can I organize them? These conditions are taking place within the reality that human beings have free will. I can use my hardware within the limits of my free will. For example, I can turn this way, I can turn this way. That is the freedom given to me. So I can eat this one, or not this one, but at this one, freedom. Physical life, I can go this way or this way, yeah. And spiritually also, I can interpret my experience in this way or another way. I have free will. Now, I have some qualities, definitely, human qualities, understand, perceive somehow which is better, but not for everything. If you are used to cold weather, you like somewhere on the north, to live somewhere on the north. If you are a person who's accustomed with desert life, then they want to go down and live in the desert. And that is their accustomed way. But these accustomed ways are under the influence of what? Physical environment, childhood bringing, cultural effects, social effects, and other people's influences. And I am free to choose, but I want to make sure that what I have chosen fits the purpose of my existence. How can I make this? Do you understand that jurisprudential matters interferes into our spiritual life in order to organize my material life as well? That is why the Quran brings us Sharia, which is laws organizing my spiritual bodily life. And also the other aspect of Sharia is how to think, how to conclude, what kind of experience, feelings in my experience I should have. Also, the Quran gives information about it, guidance. Why? My Creator put thousands of alternatives in front of me in both senses. In both senses, bodily life, spiritual life, in both senses. Thousands of alternatives into my life, in front of me. And He has set me free. And said, look, would you like me to give you a guidance? Guidance. Which one is better for you? In both senses. Now we keep saying this. 95% of the guidance is related to spiritual life. It is more essential software of our life. 5% of the guidance, Sharia, Quranic guidance, are related to our bodily life. Do you get it? But we cannot ignore that. If we ignore 5%, we wouldn't know what to do in this physical world. And we will be left to our own egocentric choices. And I will decide, this is good for me. You will say, no, this is good for me. According to what? According to the influences you are under. From culture, from family training, from your physical environment, the effects of the environment. But you want to make sure, God says, okay, don't bother. I can give you the guidance. Because I set you free. But of course, it depends on our understanding that, do I need a teacher or not to teach me, to discover, or the better word is to uncover what is in my potentiality. I give this example on many occasions. It is a beautiful example, satisfies me, and I see no harm in sharing it with you. When you go to school, you sit in front of a teacher, teacher teaches you, you think that you didn't know that. After you learn that, you know that, I have the potentiality to understand this. Do you get it? You learn it, but this learning process is uncovering your reality, your potentiality. Potentially, you are able to understand the case, but practically, if you are not taught, you don't understand, you don't know. Those people who don't get education, although potentially they can learn, let's say, chemistry, potentially they can. But since they didn't study under instruction, or the following certain instruction, this potentiality did not come out in the person's reality. So the teacher helps you, guides you to uncover what is already in your potentiality. From one aspect, Quran doesn't bring anything new to you. We call it, Quran doesn't bring an external information. That's a big statement. Quran doesn't introduce external, extra information. Everything is within you, but to discover what is within me, you need teaching. Quran teaches you what you need to discover within yourself. That's very important. To me, is an extremely important point. The main subject, or the main title was, for what purpose we should read the Quran. That was the very, very beginning of the subject. But now we are getting into practical side now. Do you need guidance? Do you need teacher to help you uncover what is within you? And after, for example, I'm sure you are all university graduates, if not more. What you learned when you were in primary school, you take it for granted now. Yeah? Why not? It is obvious. If you had not taken the primary school, would it be obvious? If you have never attended the primary school, would what you have learned at the primary school level be as obvious as it is to you now? You have not studied primary school, secondary school. Of course, if you don't study primary school, you cannot go to the high school. Do you understand my question? Answer.
Right. So you need some kind of previous level 0, and level 1, level 2.
No, don't go there.
Okay.
The question is this: if you had not studied at the primary school, would you feel that what you have learned, in fact, you did go to primary school and educate. Now, they are all obvious to you. Would you feel that if you had not gone to the primary school education, through primary school education, would you feel that those things which are obvious to you now still would be obvious to you? No. Do you get it? No. You don't get it. Now, explain it.
Okay.
Yeah, it
So
is better to.
You learn these are analogies. When you were, I don't know, in first grade or second grade, right? You learned something, and now let's say you are in high school, and okay, so now you're learning something more. It builds up on whatever you learned back in first grade. But now if you look back at whatever you learned in first grade, you say, hey, I already know that. So you take kind of that what you learned back in first grade for granted. Is that where we going?
Is it obvious to you now when you learn whatever you learn at the first grade? Is it obvious? Is it obvious or not?
What is up?
What you learn?
Easy for you. Oh, yes.
Sorry?
If I look back, what I have learned before, yeah.
So you know that they're obvious for you, huh?
Yes.
But if you had not gone through grade 1 education, would they or these information which is obvious to you now, this information which is obvious to you now, would be still obvious to you? You had not gone to grade 1 education.
It's like at the primary school you learn 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah.
But now it's something very obvious for you.
Yeah.
But if you haven't studied first grade, would still 2 + 2 be 4 for you as it is for you?
So obvious.
Right, like if you never learned how to count.
Yeah.
When you're a little kid, you learn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right?
Yeah.
If you never even learned that, you're not going to be able to understand 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know what those mean.
But it is obvious to you now because you learn.
Right.
Now, we have to understand from this analogy that what we learn through the guidance of the teachings of the Quran, in fact, they are all within us. But if we don't learn them from the guidance, we wouldn't know them. That is the importance of guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling the need for guidance. We need guidance in both senses. One, how can I understand? How can I evaluate my spiritual side? How can I utilize my spiritual side? How can I use them? As well as my physical, bodily side. Bodily side is easy to use. The bodily side is easy. How? You learn only once how to use the computer, that's done. You learn how to pray once, that's done. You learn, but once you need to learn, and that is done. You don't have to learn every year, although we learn every year with the Ramadan conditions. We repeat every year until we die. But in fact, you need to learn only once. And rules are to be learned only once. But you need to learn. That is why the proportion of teaching the physical life, organizing the physical life, the proportion is so small. 5% of the Quran is devoted to teaching the physical life. It means Sharia rules. 95% is how to develop the program, how to think at a higher level, make it more and more clear for you. And confirmation, confidence, build up the confidence. For example, having one experience with one friend, you say, she or he looks like a trustworthy person. What one experience. But if you have 20 experience, all turned out to be trustworthy, what you build up confidence in your friend much better, in your understanding stronger. So educating ourselves in who my Lord is, what the meaning of my existence is, has endless degrees. But how to pray? You learn once physically, and that's enough. If someone teaches the second time, it will be just repetition, not establishing a strong confidence in it. That the third time it will become boring. It becomes boring. I need that. Why should I keep repeating? Morning prayer is 2 rakah. The first rakah you have to stand up and read this, and then do the bowing and prostrate. Learn, finish, done. But who my Lord is, how can I experience Him? How can I really feel in His presence? What do you need?
A teacher.
Guidance.
And from one aspect, from another aspect, from another aspect, from another life experience, you know that we are under the influence of really culture, the civilization around us. So how can I challenge them? But they also say this, what shall I tell them? Or how can I respond them back? There are many problems we have to struggle. We have to really tackle with. So Quran gives one example through the Prophet Abraham's life, another example from Prophet Solomon's life, different life experiences, practical. Another example from Noah's life, completely different example. Why? Because we have to analyze the case from different perspectives so that we will build up the confidence in a better and better way. That's why we need many examples, different guidance as far as the spiritual life is concerned. How do you think that my God is going to guide me? Do you think He will pull my ear to turn this way, not this way? Oh yeah, think. Okay, I'll go this way. No. How is He going to teach me? First requirement we should never forget. We should never forget this first requirement. I should accept that I need guidance. If I don't accept that, I need guidance from whom? From my maker. Why should I ask somebody else? From my maker. My maker, because I'm repeating this now. This is an important crossroad, if you like. We shouldn't make a wrong turn, right or right. So first, make a right turn. That's why I'm going back there. Do I need guidance or not? That is my personal choice. That is my personal choice. It depends on my understanding of my own being. Who am I? I have to work on it. First, I have to ask questions. Who am I? I have to ask questions. And then I have to come to the conclusion that I am created. I am made. Now, we are not going into this matter because how do we come or reach this conclusion that I am made, I am created, or it is another subject. Otherwise, we would spend weeks on it. So that's another subject. We discussed this kind of things in our previous discussions. If I'm sure how I understand that, not how, sorry. If I am sure that I am made, I am created, and I am given the free will to choose, and I need guidance, it's better to have a teacher to have a teaching from my creator and applying it to my life would make my life much easier. Much easier. So let me search for it. How can you search for guidance in the world? What is how can you do that? Do you go to the poles or Australia or to the world tour? Or how can you search for it? What are you expected to look for? Then at this stage, if you decide that I need guidance, at this stage, messengers employed by the Creator to act as teachers comes into the picture. Now we came to this point, the last point here.
So when I'm in search for guidance, personally, when I feel this inner voice that is looking for guidance, that's when the messengers come into my life?
Yeah.
Okay.
The messengers, because this guidance, I cannot communicate with my Creator. I am created, He is Creator, and He is absolute, is not of the nature of this universe. So I cannot communicate with Him. But He can employ somebody. He can employ somebody to teach His guidance to me in the very practical human life conditions. So I expect Him, come on, send me a teacher. So without a teacher, for example, there is a school, but there is no teacher. Meaningless, isn't it? That's how we are. So we should look for teachers. It means we should look for employed teachers by my Creator. And of course, we are not going to study this aspect, how we should know which person is the true messenger or not. But this is not our subject. Our subject is we can get guidance from our Creator only through employed teachers by God. Like human beings like me, going through the experience of life, like I am going through the experience of life, and he is demonstrating which way is the best to choose, shows me with the evidence. So I have to look at it and see whether it is the most appropriate one or not. So the messengers, practically speaking, I'm going a bit fast at this stage. So, but it is easy, that's why. Up to now, it wasn't very easy. Yeah.
So when you were first making the point about this familiarity of getting the message, so I just want to make sure I'm on the same page with you. So, for example, when I hear a guidance, and then I can confirm truthfulness of this guidance, I might get the impression that I already knew that I didn't learn anything from you. Thus, I'm not appreciating the message in this case. I'm not appreciating the guidance. But instead, what I should do is, first, without this guidance, would I find this true message? Would I be able to confirm or recognize the existence of such a truth within me? Therefore, if I appreciate that the guidance I received, yes, I can verify its truthfulness, but still I needed the guidance to unreveal the truth, which I am now able to recognize. So once I appreciate the value of the guidance itself, then recognize that I am in need of guidance, then I will go and look for the guidance out there. But I guess the key point in here is to recognize that I am in need of guidance.
Yes.
And although I might get used to it or I can verify it, doesn't mean that I can find it by myself.
No. Yeah. But it helps you only what is within you already. That's why the scholars argued whether the Quran brings external information, extra information to human beings. Some said no. These are the minority, by the way. But majority of them said yes, depending on the definition of human beings. So without the teaching, you cannot uncover anything in you. So they said, you see, that is extra information. If you didn't get it, you would never know that even it existed. It existed. Am I clear? You would never know. But after you learned it, you discover that it is already within you. You can, for example, 2 plus 2 makes 4. If you have not gone through the education, you wouldn't know this kind of things. I mean, 2 plus 2 makes 4 is a very simple thing. But if you have not taken any mathematics course, you will never know what mathematics, how it works, multiplication, division, and other unknown algebra for solutions. You wouldn't know. After you learn it, it becomes, oh, that's what I know. It's very simple, isn't it? It is, we could have found out ourselves. But if you had not gone through the education system, would you not? So depending on the attitude, both types of scholars said the same truth, actually. Although apparently they said Quran doesn't bring extra information. The others, the majority said Quran brings extra information. They mean the same thing. Although they are apparently opposite of each other, they hold opposite ideas. but they mean the same thing depending on what they meant. So we have to have that both of them, both of them were right, but we should understand from which aspect this group is right, from which aspect this group is right. Now we have to be fair. They worked on it seriously, so we have to appreciate their work. So messengership, our subject is not messengership. So we are not going to go into details. How do we believe in messengership? It is not our subject today. On another occasion, we can work on it, but today not. Messengership is essential to get the guidance. Without the messengership, we as we are within this world cannot get the guidance. But we have some potentialities, but we wouldn't know how to discover this potentiality, uncover this potentiality. We would be very simple-minded, even we had a good intention. We will say, this world seems to be wonderful, perfect. So, there is something beyond matter. They call it spirit. For example, or they may call something else, the life of something. Because this universe cannot subside only with matter. There is something going on. For example, we're using the machine. We know that the matter is not doing it. The matter side of the machine, it is hardware of the machine, is not doing it. There is something using the hardware. We call it software. So people may not know how to call it software, but they say there is something there using the machine, material side of the machine, and functioning in this way. If someone didn't know anything at all, they would say electric's doing that because it works on power. At least something beyond matter. So primitive societies, they say, attribute the events to something unknown, but something must be beyond matter. Is it wrong? No, it is right. But God doesn't, my Creator, doesn't leave me alone in this world without really giving precise guidance to me. Because He created me, if you like, in a dilemma, putting in front of me hundreds of alternatives to choose from among, and giving me the freedom to choose, and letting me alone, not at least giving me guidance which one is the best for me. Just I will struggle until I try to make sure I die. So I say, oh, my Creator, who created me in this, open to confusion conditions. In these conditions, which are open to confusion for me, why don't you tell me, which one is better? That's what we expect from our Creator. If you feel this need, then look for messengers. He must employ some instructors. Now, these instructors what will they do? They will teach how to use our software guidance concerning our software within our hardware life. Do you understand this
So,
analogy?
how to use our human qualities?
Sorry?
How to use our human qualities?
In the physical world.
Right.
How to utilize the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to, when we look at, for example, when you read a hadith narration,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when you read some teachings in the Quran and go and refer it to the prophetic life experience, mostly people narrate his life in physical terms. He used to do that. He used to say this in physical terms. But behind these physical terms, what lies? The spiritual evaluation of life, which is mostly based on theoretical teaching, which are found in the Quran. So we have to study, or you have to be a student of the teacher while you have the textbook with you. Let's make another analogy. The prophets are like the instructors in a laboratory. If you have not learned the text, if you have not learned the subject, if you have not learned it, do you understand the lab examples, lab practices? No. No. But if you learn the textbook, can you do the lab practices by yourself without any instructor showing you physically what to do? Really, it's always better to have an instructor. As soon as he teaches you that, no, don't use this method needs to be used here, for example. No, don't connect this wire there, connect it there. After you learn that, you practice it, you say, oh yeah, it works. Thank you. You confirm it. So if a person looks at the matter, you are a student, you have attended the class, it means you have studied the Quran. And the Quranic teaching are mainly what? Based on 5% of the Quran is based on spiritual training. 5% is physical training. Very summary. The Prophet expects you to take the class, right? Study the Quran. Now, you know that the universe is created. You know that you are created. Your senses are given to you in order to know who your Lord is, etc. You go through it. And different life experiences, but in order to establish the authority or not the presence of absolute creator into your life, you know the theory, but physical practice, for example, you know that you have to worship God. It means express your gratefulness, express your thankfulness, and acknowledge it. And do something, say something practically. That's what we are. Because we are not spirits only, we are physical bodies as well. So we are living and communicating with the physical substances around us. So the Prophet, what we expect from the Prophet? Prophet says, have you studied your text? Have you taken this class? And then let's go to the lab. Without taking the class, they don't take you to the lab. You wouldn't know. But if you have taken the class, if you have studied the class, the Quran, and established the theoretical side, now the Quran says, worship God. You say it makes sense. Yes, I have to worship God alone. And perform prayer, against salah. In order to worship God, it was express my thankfulness. I have to do something. What's that?
Right.
Prayer. What is that? What is that? I don't know. The Prophet says, have you taken the class? Now, I have taken the class, and the Lord taught me, how do I express my thankfulness? How do I express my worship to my Creator in this way? Laboratory. If someone has not studied the Quran, when he looks at the Prophet, what does he see? Just doing certain actions, standing up, bowing, and putting his forehead on the floor. Why? That's what the Prophet did. For example, the typical example, which makes me sometimes laugh, Prophet was sitting during the prayer and doing some sort of actions according to for example, you see my hands when I'm speaking? I don't know why I'm doing that. Even I'm not aware of it. Yeah. For example, when you are happy, you express your happiness laughing. Do you do this? I have to laugh now like this? No. As you laugh, as you feel the happiness, what happens? Your shape, physical shape of the face changes automatically. So the Prophet was speaking, communicating with God as he speaks, something like that. So if you don't know the theoretical side, what you do, you start imitating Prophet, this, so I will do this. Why? Yeah, why? The Prophet said that, Assalamu alaikum, when he finishes. What does it mean? Theory is not there. So you would misunderstand the Prophet. You would just imitate. I give this example. If someone, for example, since I'm speaking and doing these actions, somebody looks at us from there as by speaking, he doesn't know what I'm telling, but he only sees like these moments, as if there's the very primitive film without voice recording. That time is a very, very first stage of film technology. This action's happening and there is no voice. Yes? Mm-hmm. So let's say if he loves me and says, oh, I have to be like Ali, and if he does not doing this, why? Because I saw him doing that. Don't you see that it is ridiculous? But at the same time, doing these actions are meaningful. What makes it meaningful? Yeah?
Your understanding.
Your understanding, exchanging your expressions. You are happy. That's why you smile, and your face gets another shape. But without feeling happy, the Prophet smiled, I will smile as well. But ridiculous, ridiculous. But when he was smiling, he wasn't even showing the teeth so much. No, I was saying, so ridiculous that it must be from within. So if someone studies the Quran perfectly, does he not need prophetic guidance?
Still does, right?
Yes, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Physical practice, but without learning the Quranic teaching, it means belief education.
Mm-hmm.
Going through the belief education through the Quran or via Quran, doing what the Prophet did physically in his life. What does it mean?
It means nothing.
Imitation.
Doesn't work. That's what we have to understand.
Mm.
That's why juridical rulings are important only after establishing the belief foundations at the bottom. Then the rulings start making sense to you. And you become a spirit within body living as like a human being. If there is no spirit in my body, what do they do with my body? Throw it into the dust or earth. It's no good. Yes? But if I have a living body but not human understanding, what happens to my human body? Animal. Human understanding. My life is a living being animal. Nothing process, no processes, software processes going. So we have to combine. So to give a life to juridical laws, principles, we have to go through the Quran. So without the Quran or without the text, the prophets mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Without the prophets, the text is not enough. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have to understand. We shouldn't be only spiritual. Neither should we be ruling, worshiping. Must be combined. That's the essence of this subject. We can continue now.
Are the jurisprudential matters standard for?
Sorry?
Are the jurisprudential matters standard?
Standard.
Like like we were talking about when you establish the belief foundations through the Quran, then the practical side would make sense, the application of it, which is also doing the rituals or right. So now I'm thinking about jurisprudential matters. So these are laws,
Laws, yeah.
right? Are they fixed or are they vary per case?
What do you mean by fixed then?
Per case. So
No,
depending.
You're asking
Okay.
the practical question,
Okay.
very common people's question, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel happy,
Mm-hmm.
how many ways are there to express your happiness?
Different.
But we are, sorry?
A lot. There's
A lot.
multiple ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on your feelings, your realization, the physical appearance depends on your physical environment according to your realization level. Yeah. Not everybody puts his or her forehead and nose on the floor. We say that this is the prostration position. But everybody has different experience in his prostration. There are as many different experience of prostration as to the number of the people on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand that everybody must have his own personal feeling and responsibility. My body and my spirit both needs guidance, and the prophet is the liaison
Connecting the
between-
body and spirit.
It makes this connection between spirit
Mhm.
and body. Prophet represents it. That's your understanding. According to your understanding, now the physical laws make sense to you within your physical conditions. So, from one aspect, morning prayer is 2 rakat, right?
Mhm.
Now, that seems to be fixed. But how many ways of practicing 2 rakat are there? As many as the number of the people on earth. We have to see 2 sides at the same time. How? What is 2 sides? 2 rakat is 2 rakat. Seems to be established. But your understanding of 2 rakat is nothing to do with my understanding of 2. So I have to do the physical action together, but my experience or your experience cannot be like mine, my experience cannot be like yours. We have to
Right,
see that.
right.
The difference is inevitable.
Mhm.
For some people, for certain conditions, the rule says do this, don't do that, etc. These are not important matters. What is the heart of the heart of the matter is very simple. It's very simple. Do I need guidance, and do I have to use my free will in order to learn through the prophet? Am I aware of it? Through the prophet. So I will go either study myself. If I don't have time to study, which is the case, I will follow somebody who is the expert. For example, even you have a plumbing problem in your house, if you are not a professional plumber, what do? You don't know how to do it. What do?
Call the expert.
Call an expert plumber.
Plumber.
This is the problem. This is the main matter. Do you call the expert plumber to do the job for you? Or I can do it as I want? That's the problem. We have to think about it. Otherwise, don't come with a question, but keep these people, I call them congregations in the masajid, keep talking about it without getting the matter, the heart of the matter, into the heart of the matter. Do you need guidance through the messengers? Do you really feel that is your responsibility? Looking for the messenger so he will come and do your plumbing. Example, I'm combining the example, metaphor. Do you need it? When you get the ruling from an expert and to do this way, what are you doing? You are following the message. Another expert might have understood another. Sincerely, this is the expert. As far as I know, I have to get the instruction from this man in order to follow the prophetic example. That's your intention. We have to be careful. Are you looking for the prophetic example in your life? That's the problem. Or closing the door and say that the prophet, I don't need it. I can find the truth by myself. I can decide about my spiritual life, about my physical life by myself. That is the problem. We have to concentrate on. Otherwise, the rules changes here and there. Not very essential. Don't worry about it. Right?
Yes.
So we cannot argue what juridical principles, laws are better than the other. This is irrelevant. Don't worry about it. Whether you sit in this way or in this way, why are you doing this? Ask yourself. I imagine this in my world and tell you, are you looking for the prophetic example in your life? Are you? So I am going to, for example, let's say, go to bed or wake up in the morning, but according to what? My Creator must have sent me a message, guide, because my Creator left me free in front of hundreds of options, and I need guidance from Him. And now we understand that His guidance comes to me through a messenger. Let me see what the messenger does. And you are not expert. Call a plumber. Go study that subject before you say, in these conditions, what the prophet used to do, and he may tell you he used to do A, and it may be wrong, let's say. But you don't know that it's wrong. But because you don't know what you do, you trust somebody who knows. Your intention is what? Not to follow this guy. Acknowledge that you have to look for the prophetic example in your life and follow the prophetic example. Your prophetic guidance. That's your intention. You are following this way in order to put the prophetic example, prophetic guidance into your life. Right? Into your life. You are safe. If the plumber does something wrong, it is his mistake, not your mistake. Don't worry about it. It is his mistake. He has to worry about it. He has not been trained properly and said that, open the shop or a place, declare that he is an expert plumber. And as an innocent person, you trusted him and asked him to come and do your plumbing. These are called ulama, scholars. And you trust them because you are not expert. If you don't trust them, go and learn plumbing yourself if you have time. If you are going to do it really seriously. Get it? So we went through now the last one. Belief in the messengership must be established. The last line. Last line. What is that? Why? Let's cover this side. Let me. No, sorry. Okay. No. Yeah. Okay, the last item. Belief in the messengership must be established and be used as a liaison between the judicial methods and belief foundations. That's what we studied today. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is the problem. As long as you have a problem in your house, the example, today's example was a plumbing problem. If you don't want to trust anybody else, go and get the course yourself and become a plumber. If you don't have time, because it's not my specialty, I have already engaged in another subject and I have no time to study plumber, then ask for a plumber. What is worse? Neither you yourself study, nor you don't ask an expert to come and do the job for you. You try to do it. I can do it as I want. Do you understand the danger? It means that is very egoistic, self-centric, and not realistic. That's what we have to understand. Get it?
Yeah.
So if someone says, I know God better, I don't need Quran's guidance. I feel it, I feel it, I feel it. Yeah, of course, everybody sees that every human being, even the most obstinate atheist, there is something, but this something is nature. You don't know what I mean, but attributed to some unknown thing. Nature, and past. It's natural happening like that. That's it. Because they cannot say that the thing itself is made up. Really. The nature in it is doing that. Whatever it is. They don't describe it. I keep saying this, always I say that. The atheists cannot define what nature is. Cannot define what nature is. Really. One of the very scary subject of atheist philosophy is what existence is, what nature is, they cannot define. Whatever. Even they, in their very notorious atheistic ideology, they still refer to something else. So some people say, instead of nature, they say God. But nature is unknown to materialists. God is unknown to believers. There is no difference. Do you get it?
Yeah.
We have to work on it. We have to try to define. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to study. We have to be serious. We cannot take it for granted. Nah, it is so essential. This is my life. I am here on a temporary base. Today I am here. Tomorrow I am not here. What is the point of living in this world if I am not going to be serious about the purpose of my existence? What on earth I am living in this world? I have to take it seriously. Right? It's really serious matter. So even if I say, I feel that there is something beyond the matter, everybody does. The problem is, how do we define it? Guidance comes there. That's why we need the prophetic guidance. It means guidance from my Creator by employing an instructor. Do you need this instructor or not? That is the heart of the matter. If you need it, you start searching for it. Doesn't matter the stage of search. But are you in the process of searching or not? That matters. Are you saying, yeah, we have to search, but let me, there's a person, my neighbor, my friend, or I heard somebody, looks like wise man who has gone through the search. Let me ask him if he teaches me which school is better. This is what I mean, which school? Which school is better? How I can learn about the definition of the creator, who this God is really for me. But how am I going to communicate with him? Are you looking for it? You may go somewhere, maybe wrong. Another people may say something different. You may be confused, but are you in search? Don't worry. Sincerely. Don't give up. Say, no, I ask somebody, there is somebody in our neighborhood who seems to be somehow knowledgeable. I follow him. Doesn't matter. It means you are that much serious about your life. You have to go deeper and deeper, and you have to make progress in your learning. And you have to see the consistency in the definition of God and your relationship with God. Don't buy the cheap teaching and just say, okay, it doesn't matter really. But when it comes to your professional life, do you say that's enough? I don't need another certificate. I don't need to improve my profession. That's okay. I'm making $10 an hour. It is okay. It's a cheap labor. It's all right. Why do you say that I have to work in a job where it's $50 an hour payment? Don't you want? And do you prepare yourself, take another course, take another, training, etc.? So fill your resume better. Would you like it or not? And more successful or not? When it comes to religion, why are you so sluggish, lazy? One of them is only concerning your 30, 40 years. Already 30 years has gone. So the left is another 30, 40 years, and at the most, if you are lucky. So 30 years more. That is only for 30 years. But searching for your God is eternal. Eternal. Not only for this world. This world is only the place where you make search. Nothing more. Search. If you use it as a place of search, you are successful. If you don't use it as a place of search, you are the loser. When death comes, finish. It means your training finished. Whether you learned it or not, that's up to you now. So we have to look for a guidance from the prophets and a perfect, as much as possible, a perfect understanding as much as possible at my level of who my creator is, who the messenger is, and how he guides me. How can I train my feelings, my understandings, my physical body, my physical relationship with the rest of the world? These are all must be our main concern. Thank you. Any question, anything? So we have to pray. I think it is a little bit, time is, we can pray now. Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.